Good evening and welcome to another edition of This Week in Bigfoot, the news show that scours the internet and the Bigfoot community each and every week so you don't have to. Then we wrap it up in a nice, neat 30-minute package. If it has to do with Bigfoot, Sasquatch, or the Wildman, we'll fill you in and let you know right where to find it. So settle in for another episode of This Week in Bigfoot.
Someone or something crawling around out here. Get somebody out there.
What's going on now, sir?
That son of a bitch is about 6'9", I don't know. He's all black and big. He is big.
Our lead story tonight is Thinkerthunker heading down the wrong credibility road in an all-out effort to market his upcoming book. A book in which he claims to have cracked the body proportions code that lies within all Bigfoot, Sasquatch, swamp ape, or wildman-like creatures. This, in turn, he claims, will provide solid scientific proof of the creature's existence, regardless of what mainstream science may say. The self-proclaimed forensic video analyst and YouTube influencer known as Thinkerthunker has been turning out his version of Bigfoot science for over a decade now. In his latest members-only video, Thinkerthunker calls on MK Davis and a 3D Bigfoot model known as George to prove his version of the fence climber is almost 8 feet tall. Let's take a look.
So first thing I did, I took a screen grab of Mr. Davis there at the site. Then I took a shot of the sneaky neighbor. I took this shot and scaled it up enough to where it matched our tree there close enough, about like that. And then I took just a little slice from that shot so that we could slide it over and just play with that a little bit. Now here is George, my really rough 3D Bigfoot that I've made. And I've kind of scaled George to about the size that I think our fence climber is. But if Mr. Davis is 5'8", somewhere around in there, and I said the sneaky neighbor might be 7. I don't know. We might could go up to 8 foot or taller. I mean, the odds of one of the tallest people in the world sneaking around your farm and stealing fruit from you, that's getting to be pretty unlikely. So I just real quick, I put in this little scale over here on the far left side. Then our sneaky neighbor, let me drop George back in. Then our sneaky neighbor is now closing in on 8 foot tall.
Now, this evidence would be far more impressive if Mike Sales wasn't somehow involved in this video. For those not familiar with Sales, he was a rather well-known Bigfoot hoaxer back in the early 2000s. A fact that Phil Poling pointed out on his Para Breakdown channel a while back.
For those of you who are unaware, Mike Sells was a very tall and lanky man who was known for making hoax Bigfoot videos, many of which he appeared in. It looks like he appears in this one too, but I don't think this is a hoax video. I think it's just some video of the daily things going on around the farm. As usual, the video quality sucks, so it will honestly be anyone's guess what the subjects are moving around. Even so, I bet that what I come up with is going to be far more believable and accurate than MK's made-up creatures. The first thing we see, but not very well, are 2 figures playing around. MK thinks these are Bigfoots, that these are large because of the size of the door behind them, but we can't really see how far from the door and how close to the camera they are, so he can't claim that as a fact. To me, it looks like a couple of dogs playing together. A dark one on the left and a lighter one on the right. But the quality is so bad on this that it could be possible that a child is playing with the dog. But the next thing we see is a tall, lanky man walking into the area, and it looks like he walks even closer to the camera than the others. I'm assuming that this is Mike Sells, at around 6'3" or so, which means that the other subjects look the right size for dogs.
Well, they're huge.
MK thinks that these are huge.
But they're nothing compared to that guy.
And that this man is gargantuan.
I mean, this guy is gargantuan.
Now, it's obvious. The property in the 2 videos is exactly the same, which does raise some concerns when it comes to the credibility of the original MK Davis clip and the science behind the current Thinkerthunker video. Moving on, Thinkerthunker joined forces once again with the Rocky Mountain Sasquatch organization, another group known for promoting less than reputable video evidence. In the video, ex-military guys have UFO Bigfoot encounter. Once again, he seems to push the Bigfoot narrative regardless of the credibility of the photo.
So the odds of somebody pulling a hoax and getting the proportions exactly to match Patterson before the world even really knows about that? No way.
Now, to be clear, I pay my 99 cents a month, and I've been a member of the Patreon group on and off for several years. It's well worth $1 a month to me to keep an eye on what he manages to come up with, whether I agree with it or not. Calling what he does scientific may be a stretch, but let's be honest. He's really not hurting anyone with his pDNA clip art analysis, a formula he somehow came up with last year after playing with his video software and the PG film. And I really don't think anyone outside of his channel is taking anything he presents seriously, but that's okay. He's not the only content creator pushing confirmation biases on his viewers in order to make a living. Think Isidol, think standing. And to be completely honest, he really does seem to put an awful lot of effort into his presentation videos. Whether it's scientific or not, I'll leave that up to you to decide. So, if you're the type of Bigfoot fan that really wants to believe in anything and everything that pops up on your social media feed every day, be sure to check out the wonderful world of Thinkerthunker at thinkerthunker.com. You might just see me in the members section. Moving on, Mike Luci did some recent digging in last year's BFRO files and may have turned up a pattern in the sighting reports. Mike, over to you.
Since last year, over 50 new reports from 27 states were added to the BFRO's public database. Looking to understand these alleged sightings more, the CARC took a deep dive into these reports and made some pretty compelling findings. As it turns out, a majority of witnesses didn't wait long to report their encounter, with 52% of these reports being submitted the same month they occurred, while 67% waited less than 1 year. It's worth noting the average wait time for submitting a report was 22 months, with the class of their encounter being a notable factor. The BFRO has 3 classes of encounters, A, B, and C. Class A is a visual sighting, essentially meaning you saw a Bigfoot. Class B, on the other hand, means you experienced something like strange noises, unexplained footsteps, smells, or footprints. Class C is generally a story about Bigfoot you heard secondhand. It's worth noting that less than 1/3 of the 2022 reports were Class A, and of these reports, 56% were filed with the BFRO that same year. By comparison, over 80% of Class B reports were submitted within the same time frame. The 2022 BFRO reports also contain recurring trends in Bigfoot encounters. Out of the 48 reports that were filed containing both the month and year, 75% occurred during the summer and fall months. Historically, these times of year have much higher reports, namely in areas with seasonal temperatures.
Today's episode of This Week in Bigfoot is sponsored by Got Knockers Apparel and Clothing. From hoodies and caps to soaps, keychains, and bats, Got Knockers has everything you need to show your love of Bigfoot. For more information and to shop their items, be sure to visit the Got Knockers page on Facebook at facebook.com/Got Knockers. Hey, Got Knockers?
These bizarre images were originally posted by a woman named Tay Fay on March 8th and were reportedly taken at a family member's property located on the Musqueam First Nation in Saskatchewan, Canada. In the Facebook post, Fay claims she heard her dogs barking at something in addition to a strange growling the previous night. She reportedly found one of her dogs dead the next day and claims not to know what killed her dog or made the trackway, but believes a Bigfoot could be involved. The post was shared over 4,500 times on Facebook and has been a very hot debate topic. Some of the details the Bigfoot camp points to are the trackway's linear direction and distance or stride in between each impression, while others are also taking the snow's depth into consideration. Considering how Faye says the snow was above her knees when she took the pictures, the Bigfoot camp thinks it's unlikely smaller four-legged animals could move through snow that deep. They also claim the photographed impressions contain several differences from bear and moose trackways. Skeptics take issue with Faye's vague and largely unsubstantiated backstory, especially regarding the previous night's events. The post has no information on critical details like track measurements, distance between impressions, or close-ups of the actual prints. Some are even suspicious that Faye hasn't confirmed the passing of her dog. Skeptics also say multiple four-legged animals of any size, from deer and bear to foxes and rabbits could have created that trackway. My thing, though, is how is someone that comes across something like footprints, whose knowledge on Bigfoot is tenuous at best, which that's kind of the profile this tail lady seems to be comprising, how are they supposed to know about the specific protocols for collecting and documenting potential evidence that exists, that exist in this field, in this community? I mean, I think it's important to take accounts like this with a grain of salt and question every aspect like we're doing, but I still think like that just like that disconnect there, something like that needs to be considered.
If I'm a person and I'm putting myself in their position and I've never, you either have heard of Bigfoot and kind of believe in Bigfoot, or you haven't heard of Bigfoot and you don't kind of believe in Bigfoot. So this person, like if a normal person, an everyday person isn't going to come outside and go, my dog's missing, there's footprints, it's Bigfoot, right? The person's going to have Bigfoot on their radar, right? It just doesn't, you're not going to get my uncle to go outside or my brother to go outside and after something like this happened and they're going to fuck, Bigfoot took my dog. They're going to go, some motherfucker came and killed my dog and left, right? So you have to, I know that sounds weird, but that's how it is. Right? That's how it is. People either have Bigfoot on the brain or they don't. So I don't know. If you don't have Bigfoot on the brain, you're just going to take the pictures and you're going to move on. So maybe she's giving it more credibility, but does that make sense?
Well, Mike, to begin with, there's got to be questions on the depth of the snow, because it doesn't, you can see the scrub grass, you can see the poles and stuff like that. So, but it's definitely an interesting photo. I just know from being where I live, a lot of the farmers are very conservative and they don't really talk about it, if something happens. So for her to post it like that, must have really freaked her out.
Faye's profile didn't seem to contain any other Bigfoot or paranormal content, and while she personally believes those trackways were made by a Squatch, she did acknowledge everyone has different opinions, but clarified she was left very creeped out by the incident.
In July 2015, North Korean native Sung Il Kim walked into a Hawaiian hotel room to hand over $16,000 in cash for 3 pairs of night vision goggles he was planning to mail overseas. Kim lived in China and was traveling on a Cambodian passport. He had planned to ship the goggles from Hawaii to China in a box labeled toys. The sale turned out to be a sting operation. Homeland Security agents quickly arrested Kim, and federal prosecutors charged him with violating the Arms Export Control Act, a bill that regulates the sale of military equipment, and a judge sentenced Kim to 40 months in prison. The kind of gear Kim was trying to export was once prohibitively expensive, but now low-end night vision gear is available and can be purchased around the country from sporting good retailers, sometimes for under $100. A 2020 Netflix documentary entitled Night on Earth highlighted just what the latest technology in thermal imaging can do. Let's check it out.
We have always been strangers to the night. A place of unnerving sounds and imagined terrors. But now, new technology allows us to lift the veil of darkness. All around the planet, the most iconic animals are revealing themselves in a completely new light. When the light fades, new worlds awake.
Will night vision equipment be the tool that finally brings Bigfoot out of the shadows? Will science and skeptics accept high-end thermal imaging as proof of existence? There have been roadblocks in the past. Expedition Bigfoot's slightly exaggerated Bigfoot thermal hit was one.
Guys, what is that? Please? What is that? I'm just gonna move a little bit away from it and come back to it. There it is. It's right on the water's edge, and the signature is getting bigger.
But as prices come down, more and more Bigfoot researchers are heading into the wilds armed with technology they only dreamed of just a few years ago. Let's take a look at a few of the top-rated thermal units within the price range of your average Bigfooter.
Number 5 on the list is FLIR Scout TK Handheld Thermal Imaging Monocular. The FLIR Scout TK Handheld Thermal Imaging Monocular is a compact, lightweight, and rugged device that is designed for outdoor enthusiasts, hunters, hikers, and wildlife observers. Number 4 on the list is Bushnell X650 Digital Equinox Night Vision Monocular. The Bushnell X650 Digital Equinox Night Vision Monocular is a high-performance night vision device that comes with a range of features designed to provide excellent image quality and clarity in low-light conditions. Number 3 on the list is Goski Updated Spotting Scopes with Tripod Thermal Monocular. The Goski Updated Spotting Scopes with Tripod Thermal Monocular is a versatile device designed for outdoor enthusiasts and hunters who need to view distant objects with clarity. Number 2 on the list is Night Owl Lightweight Night Vision Monocular. The Night Owl Lightweight Night Vision Monocular is a compact and lightweight device designed for outdoor enthusiasts who need to see in the dark. Number 1 on the list is Vortex Optics Recon Tactical Scope Monocular. The Vortex Optics Recon Tactical Scope Monocular is a high-performance monocular designed for hunters, law enforcement personnel, and other outdoor enthusiasts who require rugged, durable, and versatile optic.
Late to the party local news channel WGN out of Jackson, Mississippi, took an opportunity to openly mock the 2013 swamp ape footage on a recent morning news segment. Let's take a look.
Now keep your eye on the middle of the screen. The beast has its back to the camera, and it seems to be pulling wood from a cypress tree.
All right.
You see it?
Yeah, there he is. This is pretty good video. Look at him there.
It's a gorilla.
No,
In Mississippi?
That's not a gorilla.
Oh. Maybe he ran away from the zoo.
Yeah. Isn't that the mascot of their college out there? The running gorillas?
All I can say is it must have been a very slow news day that morning in Jackson. Next up, Mike Luci has a very peculiar Bigfoot Pine Barren story.
A paranormal researcher released what he claims are images of a Bigfoot he took at his research area in the Pine Barrens. Known as Man of Light on YouTube, the South Jersey resident posted an 11-minute video of some bizarre POV footage where twice in it he claimed to have recorded a Sasquatch. He describes the first encounter early on in the video. Man of Light claims he caught an obscured image of a Squatch after hearing possible footfalls.
I was back in these woods over here, coming out, and I heard stuff walking, couldn't see. What I did was I went up to the trees that last week Dogman and Bigfoot manifested themselves on through the trees, and I wanted to go and check the trees out. Didn't see anything, smell anything, but I heard stuff walking around. I couldn't see anything. So as I came out, I heard something behind me, and right here behind this branch you can see is a Bigfoot.
The second encounter happened when he allegedly spotted a large black figure moving toward him while crossing some railroad tracks. The researcher said he tried recording with his camera, but claimed the batteries, which he said were freshly charged, somehow died. Let's go ahead and roll that clip.
So now as I zoomed in, from what I was looking at, I see this Bigfoot over here, again, all black as head, so I'm coming down here, his legs, standing there.
Now, here's the kicker with this one. What you see in front of you is an enlargement of the second figure our researcher claimed he saw walking towards him when he was crossing those train tracks. Upon closer observation, however, it reveals that things might not be what they seem with the so-called Bigfoot. I don't know what our researcher thinks he sees in this video, but I do think this little discovery we made rules out it being the real deal.
This week, we're taking a look at a Bob Gimlin video. For those unfamiliar with the other Bob Gimlin, who spells his last name with a Y and an A, he hosts a YouTube channel where he creates stories about subject matter that's mysterious and interesting, most notably Bigfoot. His videos are usually accompanied by artwork from artist Fred Dunn. Fred created this piece for us here at the CARC. The video we're looking at today is an exception. In this video, Bob takes a closer look at one of his favorite Bigfoot photos, the Beast of Seven Chutes. Let's check it out.
But I have this suspicion that these things are extremely skilled at being hidden in plain sight. both micro and macro, big picture and little picture, as an ancient man once said, as above, so below. Meaning, of course, they are culturally hidden in plain sight, and perhaps literally too. Again, I can't articulate this into words, but I almost feel as if something about their shape or color, or maybe the way they sway, possibly having something to do with their intimate understanding of human-like eyes or contrasting colors, I don't really know. But I've heard so many reports of creatures that are at least partially exposed, and then seem to be surprised that they've been spotted, as if sometimes they're just confident they can't be seen, but they can be.
It's time once again where we give content creator Mike Merchant screen time to speak his mind and get what's ever bothering him off his chest. We call it 2 Minutes With.
My irritation with the skeptics is the lazy arguments they put forth. They want to discredit all the eyewitnesses, every single last one of the eyewitnesses, by claiming they're hallucinating, lying, or confused without providing any documentation, no information, nothing, not a shred of evidence to support that position. Other than they just think so. I think so. I think that's how it is. Somebody told me that. I've heard it said. It's been said a lot. I'm just repeating what I've seen said because I agree with it. And when pressed to provide documentation to support their position, they call you names. They'll start name calling. Troublemaker. Stirring the pot. Pot stir is what we call you. A denier of reality. I'm just trying to help you. I can tell you're delusional. I'm trying to be helpful. Yeah, that's all it is. I want to help. And it's pretty clear to me you have no bleeping clue what you think you thought you saw. Oh, I feel bad for you. I do. You must be bumbling into parked cars. It's funny in that the skeptics will claim every single one of us, every single person who's claimed to see the Sasquatch, is suffering under a cognitive impairing mental ailment. None of the skeptics are compromised. Not a single one. They're all clear-headed. They are not influenced by their emotions. Cold calculating. Pure unadulterated logic, the nectar of knowledge. They're fountains of it. They'll tell you. I know you think you saw something, but I know what you didn't see, even though I wasn't there. I know, because I am a purveyor of logic and reason. Did I mention I have high intellect, high IQ? I'm in the Mensa Society. And in the Mensa Society, we don't believe in Bigfoot. So I hate to be the one to inform you this of your delusion. Just because you think you saw Bigfoot doesn't make you a bad person. Just makes you wrong. I, however, have moved on. Some of you probably contain the pearls of wisdom I am looking for, the nuggets of knowledge. I know stuff about reality, what's real and what's not real. It's called science. Haven't you seen Bill Nye?
It's that time of the show where we take a look at some of the recent Bigfoot podcasts. First up, Cryptid Creatures, Run for Your Life, episode 113. In this episode, guest Chester talks about his terrifying Bigfoot encounter that he had while growing up in the beautiful state of West Virginia. Let's take a listen.
So I hike back up there, and this mountaintop where I'd taken a leak on this structure and those trees, just imagine a giant with a gigantic sword and swing and scythe all the trees off 6 to 8 feet in the air. All of them, the whole mountaintop. Any tree that was 8 inches or lower diameter was just sliced clean off. That's what it looked like. I mean, they were shattered. And I was like, oh no, something is mad. And my blood ran cold. I got chills. I'm getting chills and goosebumps right now talking about that. But I mean, something was mad. And I mean, it was at least an acre of trees. It was just sheared clean off like that on the top of a mountain. So, sorry, chills.
That's all right. Take your time.
I pulled out my knife and I slowly eased my way off that mountaintop, and I felt like something was following me. I had this poop feeling. I mean, my blood was running cold. Best way to describe the feeling I had coming out of there is having a snarling dog following you.
Next up, the Sasquatch Encounter Brigade, Women in the Field. In part 3 of the week-long series where SEB interviews women making a difference in the Bigfoot community, The show focuses on Ohio researcher Susan Ferenchek. Let's take a listen.
But I didn't want to hear the knocks anymore. I didn't want to hear breathing. I didn't want to hear trees being pushed over. So for many years, I just listened to my tunes. You know, I think that's when, you know, I got a Bluetooth headphone set or something, you know, just listen to tunes. I didn't want to hear it anymore. And then when I finally took my headphones off in 2020, you know, I heard one knock in 2020. And then there was another event where I heard 9 knocks one night. And then in 2021, there was another event where I heard 9 knocks. And, you know, it seems to, like, for example, this year we had, like, when the harvesters, at the end of the season or when they're planting all the fields around us, it seems like there's a lot of activity. So it was really great because I'm thinking, okay, well, as soon as the tractor moved out of, you know, the big combine or whatever, moved out of that field, then I'd hear knocks. And then it would go over there, and then it moved out of there, then I'd hear knocks. And, you know, I can only think that the machinery was pushing the game.
The third podcast we're looking at today is the Creek Devil podcast, Bigfoot, America's Creek Devil, episode 206. In this episode, host William Jevnick interviews Bigfoot witness Melvin as he recounts various Bigfoot encounters throughout the state of Oregon. Let's take a listen.
I knew there was something up there, and I had no idea what it was, but I figured it had to be big to be snapping sticks the size it was doing. And I got so nervous that I actually put a round in the chamber of my rifle. And I told them there's definitely something that's up there, and it's big. And about that time, I picked up it wasn't a strong smell, but I picked up like a musky scent on the air. And I started looking around to see if I could see what was making that scent. And about that time, my brother said, "Let's go." And we all got back in the vehicle after I unloaded my rifle, and we left. And that's about it.
Well, let me ask you a couple questions. Number one, you've elk hunted before, and we talked about this. It's pretty unusual for elk to come towards you breaking things, especially something the size of these branches. And the musky smell, did it smell like, because elk have their own, they got their own musky smell. But as we've talked about, an odor that is very foul and it's not associated with elk. What kind of an odor was this that you smelled?
Well, I've smelled elk, I've smelled buck deer, and this was definitely not either of those.
Well, St. Patrick's Day has passed and the first robin of spring has sprung, which means Bigfoot conferences are in full swing. To keep us up to speed on the who's, the what's, and the where's, here's the one and only Chuck Larson with another conference spotlight.
Estes Park Bigfoot Days returns to Bond Park on Friday, April 14th. Once again, celebrating all things Squatchy. This free 2-day festival features appearances and talks from well-known television celebrities and self-proclaimed Bigfoot experts. Live music, craft and food vendors, outdoor family activities, a Bigfoot calling contest, area Bigfoot tours, and much more. For more information on this community event, go to visitestespark.com. And that is this week's Spotlight.
Well, once again, it looks like that's it for us this week. I'd like to thank you for watching and remind you, if you have any news stories or photos that you'd like us to cover, you can email the show at thisweekinbigfootnewscast@gmail.com. For Mike Luci and Chuck Larson, I'm Brendon Brown, reminding you that when it comes to Bigfoot news, be informed, not biased. Take care.